Hey everybody, Steve Burns. We're going to get into a practical application of your Wacom Desktop Center now. And we're going to concentrate on the actual product that I'm using, which is a Cintiq 22. Now yours will probably say the Intuos Pro. Just tap on it and these options are going to show up over here. So what this is going to be is your pin setting options. And this is where we're going to customize our pin for Photoshop. Now, what you're going to do is, let's go ahead and just tap on pin settings. We're going to click right on it. It's going to bring up what's called the Wacom tablet properties. Okay, and this actual option is inside your programs folder in your Wacom tablet folder. It'll say Wacom tablet properties. You can bring it up that way, or you can bring it up through the Wacom Desktop Center. So this is all those shortcuts to all the other little advanced features of your Wacom driver. Now, currently, we're seeing it as if you've just loaded it on fresh on your operating system, the Wacom software. And what we want to do is I want to customize this for some features that I think are going to really help you in working as a digital artist. Right up here is showing my device, my 22-inch Cintiq. Under the tools, it's giving me my function. So these are my function keys. So if I target that one by clicking on it, I'm seeing my little buttons that are on the side of my monitor. Yours is going to have a picture of your Intuos Pro as well, if you're utilizing that. If I hit the touch, I can customize it for various touch features, for three finger swipes or 4-finger swipes and so forth. Or if I go to the grip pin, which comes with your Wacom tablet, how to customize it. So right down here next is going to be your applications. The next thing I want you to do is actually select the application that we're going to apply preferences to, which is obviously going to be Photoshop. Make sure that Photoshop is open before you open up the Wacom tablet, because what this driver will do is it will recognize any and all software that is open on your operating system. So if I want to go select Photoshop, then come on the right hand side, you see a plus symbol. Plus will add the software, minus is going to delete the software that I'm going to apply preferences to. So I'm going to target the plus, come down here, look for Photoshop, because Photoshop is open. It's right down here in the center. As you can see, I have a whole bunch of stuff open in here, but I'm interested in Photoshop. I'm going to target that one. And once again, I can apply preferences to any and all of these software that I so choose. But Photoshop, target OK. There's the Photoshop symbol. So anything that I do at this point is going to be applied to Photoshop only. And that's beautiful, because if I want to work in Photoshop and I jump into Maya 3D program, then automatically the preferences will switch to Maya. If I go from Maya to ZBrush, automatically the Wacom drivers will switch to the preferences for ZBrush. It's a beautiful workflow. Now, once Photoshop is targeted, we can start setting things up. The first thing I'm going to show you guys is how to set up the brush size. Now, many of you know that making your brush bigger in Photoshop is the bracket keys on the right hand side of your P key on the keyboard. Bracket to the right makes it bigger, bracket to the left makes it smaller. In fact, let's go ahead and play with that concept. All right, let's go back into Photoshop over here, and let's go ahead and hit the B key for brush on my keyboard. And if I use the shortcut, now I'm using a Windows system. Now pay attention to this shortcut. If you're a Windows person, the shortcut for a subpixel resize is the new way to resize the brush. Actually, let me just show you just briefly the old way to resize it, which is the bracket to the right and bracket to the left. And you'll notice that it's jumping several pixels. If I hit one keyboard, click and release, then it's jumping several pixels. I can do single pixel resizing. Alt key on the keyboard, hold it down if you're on a PC, and right click and drag left to right, and you can see it resize down for hard, up for soft. Okay, now I'm going to take up my opacity higher so that you can see what it looks like. Now you notice that my overlay is green. That's because I changed it. and I can alter that back to the default. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a red overlay, which is the system default, but it's also going to show you how to change yours to any color that you would like. Command or Control K on the keyboard opens up your preferences. On the left hand side, you're going to target the cursor. Right here, you can see right there is the option that I chose for the color in the top right hand corner. I'm going to click it and I'm going to give it, let's go ahead and go grab my, there we are, go grab the brush here. And I'm going to give it the red that you would get by default when you open it up. And I'm going to target OK. So now, Alt, right click, drag left to right, up soft, down hard. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually program this to the top button on my brush, because that shortcut utilizes two hands, one for the mouse and one for the keyboard. So the right click by default on the Wacom pen is the bottom click closer to the tip of the stylus. Okay, so if I hold down the Alt key on my keyboard, allow your Wacom pen to hover about a ½ inch above your pad, and then when you click down that bottom button that's closest to the tip of your pen, you can drag it left to right. Remember, let your pen hover. You're not touching the surface of the screen. Hover down, up soft, down hard, see that? And right to left. And it's like a plus, right? You're going completely horizontal or completely vertical. You're not going diagonal, okay? Make that very clear. Up and down, completely vertical to the side of your screen, or horizontal to the top and bottom of your screen. And that's going to resize it, okay? If you are using a Macintosh, this is one of the very few instances where the shortcuts in Photoshop are different. It is not an option right click. For the Mac people, it's a control, and I mean control spelled out, option held down together, and left click and hold, drag left to right. So, option, control held down together, and then left click, hold, drag left to right, and up and down. Okay, does that make sense? All right, now let's go apply this to our actual pen setting. Let's go back to, here we are, to our Wacom properties. Photoshop is targeted. The bottom click is a right click by default, as I just talked about. I like that. Why? Because I can hover the pen, remember, a ½ inch or a ¼ inch above your screen or your pad, and right click, and it gives me the submenu options, or over here, submenu options for the brush. Click anywhere, it makes it go away. Now what I want to do is I want to set that brush resize to the top button. So let's go back. The top button by default is a double click, which I'm not going to use in Photoshop mostly. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to set that to something that's going to be really handy. So look at the top button of the pen, follow up to the sub menu, and what we want is called the modifier. Why? Because we're messing around with modifiers like Shift and Control and Alt and so forth. Since I'm on a PC, the shortcut is an Alt right click, Alt and right click. If you are on the Mac, you're going to target Control Option, which will be listed over here, and on the right hand side you'll target the left click instead to make this work. Click OK. It's done. Alt right click. I just tapped anywhere to make that menu go away. Let the pen hover about a ¼ to a ½ inch above the surface of your tablet. Hold down the top button with your thumb, drag left and right and up and down. Okay, so that's a really nice, handy shortcut. I think that's going to be that's going to revolutionize your workflow.